Why networking could be that leadership competency of the future. I'm Greg, I'm the Introverted Networker, and today I'm talking about networking and professional connection as a leadership competency within companies and organizations. It's something that most people don't think of because most people think of networking to get out of the job that they're in. But I believe that networking and teaching people to network within your organization actually will make them better leaders, will retain them longer, engage them longer, will overall help them become better managers and leaders if they know how to effectively connect across the organization. And I came across some information this past week from Gartner, and they did a survey of the top 5 priorities for HR leaders in 2025. One of those, actually number one, was about leadership development approaches and the need to do something different with leadership development. And some of the stats that were in that presentation that I was able to download were that 36% of the HR leaders that were surveyed think that their organization's leadership development programs are effective. So only 36 think they're effective, which means 64%, or almost 2/3 of them, think their leadership development programs are not effective. And only 23% of those HR leaders thought their organization's leaders could meet the future needs of the organization. So a lot of HR leaders do not think that their leadership programs are meeting their needs. And part of this comes down to how you train people in leadership development programs, because what they're saying and what Gartner's saying in this study is that you train somebody on a skill, and let's pretend it's professional connections. Let's pretend that I come to your organization and I talk about networking, why it's important, and then people go away and they never apply it, right? So the problem is, in leadership development programs, you're learning people skills, leadership skills. You don't always have a opportunity to apply those skills right away. So there's a long lag time between the time you go to class to learn these things and when you apply it in your leadership opportunities. So throughout the course of your job, being a leader, being a team leader, you don't have a lot of time to really apply it. And so this happens with every training, by the way. Every corporate training you go to, and everybody goes to the event and they're like feeling good because they learned something new, and then they go back to the way they've been doing things all along, and all that training kind of goes to waste. And so the problem here is that people are not applying this, right? And so this is like, let me go back to it. This is like me coming and teaching you how to network at the learning event you're at, how to have conversations, and then you going away from that learning event and never networking again. Whereas if I was teaching this within an organization, what I would do is I would say, here's the process of networking within your organization. Here's how you figure out who to go meet. Here's how you reach out to them. Here's how you make that connection. Here's how you have it in real life conversation. Here's what you say in that conversation. Here's how you listen to the other person and find ways to help them and give to them. And here's how you are easy to help when they want to reciprocate and say, hey, I'd really like to help you. And then here's how you turn that into a habit. Now, the last part of that is where we overcome this problem with not applying it. It's that habit. And so if I was teaching people networking in an organization, I would teach them how to do it as part of their daily job the day they walk out of that training. So the very next day, they could apply this and they could start connecting and meeting people in their organization and having these conversations. And they would be applying this leadership development skill throughout their day-to-day job. They wouldn't wait until, they had to have this hard conversation. You have a session on hard conversations. You got to wait to have a hard conversation with an employee to actually use it. I would teach them how to do stuff that they could use the day they walked out of that training. And so that's where some of this leadership development gets more useful and sticks. And so what the other interesting thing about this, right, is in this leadership development, the the leaders said that one of the problems is that people are learning about leadership development in seminars and lectures. So you go to a one-time event and you're sitting down and you're learning about leadership development, but then you're not going out and you're walking away and you just kind of forget some of that stuff, right? It doesn't, again, stick. So what Gartner suggests in this is that you spend more time in these events, these training events or on-site events that corporate companies have. You spend more time with networking and people building professional connections so that when they walk away, they're going to continue to learn from each other. So again, you think of networking a lot of times as going to find a job, but if you're networking within your organization, you're going to create peer connections and utilize, again, what Gartner calls peer-based or they call it peer connection-based learning. So you learn about the organization and what you need to do as a leader from your peers who you've built a professional connection with by networking throughout the organization. So the actual leadership development skill, or the recommendation here from Gartner, is teach people how to connect and to find peer networks of people within the organization so that they'll continue to learn long after you have your on-site or that one-time training event. And that is actually a huge skill to add to your organization. That way, you don't have to spend a ton of time creating these big events, these training events, bringing people together. If you teach them how to network within your organization, if you're a leader out there and you're listening to this and you teach people how to network in your organization, you're going to create these peer connection learning experiences, this peer connection communities, and they're going to learn from each other. They're going to share experiences. They're going to talk about what worked, what didn't work. They're going to, again, have more connection to the organization. Now it's just in training. That's how to teach them how to be better leaders. The other benefits, the other upside to doing this in your organization, you're now creating all these connections so that your talent gets to know other people in other departments and they get to know the talent. And so what happens is you are enabling more talent mobility within your organization. You're making it so people can find other opportunities and grow within your organization. Lots of organizations build these complicated talent strategies where they say, we have to identify people and we want to know what their skills are and match them with jobs. And we want to tell them, hey, here's your job. If you enable them to connect and learn about each other and become good networkers within your organization, those talent mobility opportunities will happen on their own. The managers will know who's good. The people will know where they want to work. They'll know where the next opportunities are because they'll go out and find them, and they'll self-select in. You don't have to do all this work of saying, hey, would you like to do this? And I mean, I know a lot of people do that, and it's people's jobs, and I'm not saying you don't need to have those, but again, you supplement your talent mobility strategy with this networking. So again, you teach people how to network within your org, they're going to go find new opportunities. They're also going to find partners who they can work with to make their jobs easier and make everybody else's job easier. So you have these sort of self-forming teams that start to occur and grow. And those are things that are going to improve collaboration, improve innovation. You're going to have teams that are working on their own without a whole lot of necessary management saying, hey, you need to go talk to this person, you need to go talk to this person, let's get together and have a work stream. This stuff's going to happen on its own. And all of these things lead to better engagement because people feel more connected to the organization. They have people to talk to. They have leaders they've met in other parts of the organization to know what's going on. And they really feel like they're more connected to that org. And when they feel more connected, they're going to feel more engaged. And when they feel more engaged, they're going to stay longer. So they're not going to be looking to go anywhere else because they feel like they're a part of your work community. They feel like they're a part of the organization. They know what's going on. They have connections there. And again, the more connections you have, the more sort of professional relationships you have, even friends you have, the more you're likely to stay with the organization. So going back to this whole idea, I was excited to see this from Gartner on this focus from CHROs on leadership development and using peer connections and professional relationships as a way to improve learning and leadership development within their orgs. So if you're somebody who's, sitting here listening to this and thinking to yourself, hey, I'm, why are you talking about networking in an org? I'm networking to find a new job. I understand that, but maybe before you jump and go find a new job, have you tried networking within your organization? Have you tried meeting new leaders? Have you tried meeting people in other departments? Have you made some of those connections? Because you might be able to find an opportunity within the organization so that you don't have to leave. And it's all using the same sort of strategies and approaches that I talk about all the time. It's all finding the people to connect with, finding people who you can have a real life conversation with, who you can really get to know and figure out how you can help them. And when you're helping them, they're going to want to help you. So before you decide, hey, I'm out of here, I hate this place, maybe you're just one connection away from really again, making sort of a link or improving your own engagement. So I would encourage you, again, even if you're thinking I need to network to find a new job, have you really done some networking within your organization? Have you tried that out to see if there are other opportunities so you don't have to leave? And if you do and you have, or if you haven't found that to be the case, or you just don't want to work there anymore, you need to find a different job, great. Strategies are all the same. They still work. This works inside an org, outside of an org. It basically comes down to human connection and developing relationships. So give that a thought. If you are in an organization and you're in any way connected to the training department or the CHRO or the head of HR, and you think, yeah, we could really use some revamping of our leadership development, and one thing we could really help people do is learn how to grow these professional connections, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to you. We can talk about how we might work together. If you're somebody who's just sitting there and thinking, hey, this is a great idea, I don't really know what to do with it, I mean, suggest it to whoever you work with. It's something that, if your team wanted to jump into this and figure out how to network better within the org, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. And if you're just an individual who needs help networking, always reach out to me. I'm accessible via this my newsletter, the YouTube videos, the podcast, email, LinkedIn. Shoot me a note and let me know what you're working on and what you're struggling with. So give it a shot this week. Think a little bit about this. Think about how you could make your organization better by helping people network internally. And if you're just going out to meet some people, go out, what I always say, you can go find some interesting people. Just think ABC, always be connecting.